You remember Dr. Obadiah Mailafia? May his soul rest in peace. Obadiah Mailafia, that scholar from the Middle Belt. He was like a thorn in the flesh of the Buhari government. He's no more. You know, I had a 3-hour discussion of Aburi on radio, and he was one of my guests. He was speaking from Abuja. So let's go back to 2021. Here is a discourse between Mailafia and Professor John Ayoade.
None of them truly believed in Aburi. Even Ojukwu, for him, Aburi was a stepping stone to his own ambition to be a big fish in a small pond called Biafra. Number one, Aburi was not a mediation meeting. It was not an arbitral settlement. It was not a treaty agreement. So nobody can hold a head of state on the basis of that kind of agreement, which was a gentleman's agreement. Even if it were a treaty, under the Vienna Convention on the Law of Treaties, whatever agreement you make outside your country, you must come back home and domesticate it through a process of accession and through a process of ratification. For whatever reason, Aburi, in the end, if it had been implemented, in fact, set conditions that were unfulfillable. And if you cannot implement a treaty, honestly speaking, it is null and void and of no effect whatsoever.
What did Aburi mean to you? The first 3 agreements about regional commands, did that mean that Gowon was losing his authority?
That was a failure because there is no military in the whole world of military history that has regional armies with separate commands. Doesn't exist anywhere. So they were making something that they know will not work. That's number one. It was, in effect, even though Ojukwu said Confederation was never mentioned, but in fact, it was what they had agreed was a de facto confederation. And it would not have worked because there is no confederation anywhere in the world. Even Swiss that started as a confederation, they are not a federation. So there's no confederation anywhere in the world. Confederation is like NATO. It's neither here nor there. So when Omonopa, who was at that time Solomon Akenzwa, when he saw it, as permanent secretary in the cabinet, he had a duty to draw, and he was doing his job as a civil servant. As a civil servant in those days, until they became what they are now, I don't know what they are. In those days, they were very serious people. And Akenzwa too was a prince. If there is a prince in Nigeria, he was a prince of the princes. He went to Cambridge. He read law and public administration. He knew his onions. He told Gowon, this thing is not going to work. Because if it's to be implemented, the country will disintegrate. And then thirdly, they created an agreement whereby the governors had veto powers on what the chief of the commander-in-chief would do. Certain agreements must be sent to them. They must give their approval. They must give power, my brother. Power is never shared anywhere.
All right.
Anybody.
Dr. Mailafia, let's come to Professor Ayoade. Was Aburi a confederation?
The arrangement was just to cool off. Now, in a dispute, you must get back to a situation where people can still talk together. And what Aburi tried to do was to evolve a kind of devolution of powers, which does not mean autonomy. It only meant that you be responsible for certain things, and that those things would then be discussed at a higher level if there is need to do so. So it was a devolutionary arrangement. It wasn't really confederation. Although they misunderstood it and they talked about confederation.
Was it workable from what Mailafia has explained? Different commands of the military.
You see, they were governing Nigeria. They were not governing the military. the point is that when they were talking about the military, actually they were using the military as a euphemism for the people. It couldn't have been military. The military wasn't, that was not the problem. The problem was the governance of the country.
Remember, Clause 2, subsection D states, a military headquarters comprising equal representation from the regions and headed by a chief of staff should be established. A Lagos garrison, including Ikeja barracks, should be established. But look at this. It said during the period of the military government, military governors should have control over area commands for internal security.
Yeah.
That was taking power from the center.
It did not take power from the center. You see, even now under this constitution, I don't know what to call it, whether federal or unitary.
What do you call it?
I think it's a bastardized federal system. We don't have a federal system now. But the governor is still the person in charge of security. But it has been messed up in the sense that the policeman, the police commissioner under him, is responsible to somebody outside. So really it creates a problem. And that's the kind of rough edges that we need to clean up. You are either in charge or you are not in charge. There are occasions when it becomes impossible for a governor to give instruction to a police commissioner. He will take his instruction from the IG, not from the governor. And at the same time, the police commissioner is a member of the security committee in the state. So I think that these are areas that need to be cleaned up. And under the Aburi thing, the governor is either in charge of his state in terms of internal security. Somebody in Abuja cannot be taking care of the security of people in Elebu, in Ibadan. It has to be domiciled in the place. That's what Aburi was talking about.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live